Hi folks, my name is Girish, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. Today we're going to talk about the Internet 2.0 or the Crypto 3.0. So crypto is one word that we get scared of. You know, we get scared of how much money should we put in or how much would we cash out. And what does it all mean? Is it a stocks? Is it money? Is it what? Let's figure that out when we speak with Joseph today about crypto. And, you know, some people, they say crypto kind of sounds like the Superman, kryptonite, but it's actually not. So guys, let's talk to Joseph. And Joseph, how are you? And thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming here. But before we talk about crypto and your podcast also at the same time and all the details of this whole fun episode that we're going to have, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
Sure. Back to Basic basically means to me like the fundamentals, bringing things back to where it's important to have a solid foundation and all that stuff, whether you're doing, like we talked about with music or crypto or even any type of business plan, anything. The basics are always there for a reason. And the people that made it way further than all of us would tell you the foundation, the good foundation is the basics of what you understand. So for me, it's being a solid foundation of the understanding of the underlying, what the major thing underlying it is. And I think it's so important for people to have that, to understand that.
I totally agree with that. Thank you so much for explaining that in a short and sweet way. So thank you for that. So there's a whole bunch of books out there regarding crypto. Can you give a small footnote, note on what does crypto mean? What is crypto? That's the first thing.
Sure. Crypto is basically an alternate form of financial system, but it's also, which I think a lot of people miss, is a huge technological advance with how peer-to-peer sharing works with blockchain technology. Okay. I think a lot of people get scared when they hear crypto and they think it's a scam or it's fraud or all this stuff, and it gets associated and there's a lot of misjargon. And I think I told you before, like, it's not me being for nor against crypto. It's understanding the technology behind it and how this can advance and eliminate middlemen, like, from the process. And it's also helps with preventing fraud. There's just so many aspects to the cryptocurrency where people just think, like, they hear like certain coins, like whether it's like Dogecoin or something, and they get all, that's again, they're going way up here when they just need to come down here. And basically crypto is it's a financial realm opposite. It works opposite of the actual financial markets, just because a lot of the governments don't like it because they can't regulate it. So it's deregulated. There's a whole foundation to that where it's more for people wanting freedom to do with their currency or their money than it has to do with scamming people or doing fraudulent things with it.
So thank you so much, Joe, for that, or Joseph for that. Let me ask you this. I'm pretty sure people are already still confused right now, which is totally fine, okay? But now let's dissect that and tell me, what does crypto, Doge, and Bitcoin mean? Are there three different things, or is pretty much the same thing?
So cryptocurrency as a whole, there's multiple different, you have tokens and you have coins.
Okay.
So a token is different than a coin. So like Dogecoin it runs on a blockchain. Bitcoin is a coin, and you have tokens. So tokens can be run on a they're still on blockchain, but they're part of a bigger ecosystem where Bitcoin is kind of its own ecosystem. It's basically like there's a reason it's the predominant coin, so to speak. So like you said, we're going down to a basic term of things. So cryptocurrency as a whole is a financial market. Then you have coins and tokens. And those are created via using miners. These are people who have not large computers as in like huge roomed computers, but they have large processing powered computers that do these algorithms that basically are so complex to solve that they need these supercomputers. These supercomputers then come out with these algorithms and they solve them. And every time they solve them, it creates a specific coin. So we're just going to use Bitcoin as an example because it's the one that most people know. It's the easiest process. So when a Bitcoin gets created, then those miners take it and it goes to what we call a coin exchange. And this is like, I don't want to say it, I have to break it down so sometimes people understand. A coin exchange is similar to a bank, but it's not a bank. It's where people like you or I want to exchange currency in a way. So the miners will take that coin and they'll say, hey, we have a Bitcoin. So people like us will say, hey, we want your Bitcoin. Well, the market, because crypto is the most freest market I think we could ever have right now. It's so unregulated, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, but that's a side point. It's so free market that anybody who buys into it creates the demand for it. So if more people start buying into it, the demand for it, the coin goes up in value. So you have tokens and coins. I'm not a big fan of tokens. That's just my personal opinion, because they seem to be more geared for, like they have like stable coins, which basically run parallel with like what the price of gold goes or silver goes. But then people say, well, why wouldn't you just own gold or silver? Which is a valid point. But when you're talking in the digital realm, cryptocurrency is specifically digital. It's a digital form of currency that makes it easier to exchange funds over the internet, which makes it easier. Exchanging gold and silver or like a hardback dollar bill or whatever it is, you can't really do that unless you're using like credit cards or a debit card.
Right.
So cryptocurrency comes in where those aspects of digital world haven't evolved yet. And I think that's where people need to understand it mostly. It's the digital realm that cryptocurrency is making things way more easier to do things.
Because when we have credit cards and when we have cash, right, it's kind of physical in your mind, right?
Right.
But crypto, you can't really keep track of it because there's no credit card, right? So is there a credit card for crypto?
Yeah, they have credit. Like you can get like certain exchanges. I think. Now I'm trying to remember what.
I mean, there's one company that I know. I think it's called Gemini.
Yes.
So is Gemini one of them?
Gemini probably. I think they do have like a credit card or like a debit card. So it's linked up to your exchange account.
Yes.
And then basically you can use it like credit, and they do this. So they do the similar thing to like a bank does, but it's really not a bank because they can't like. You're in control of your money basically. Like, so once your money's gone, it's gone. It's not controlled by the FDIC. There's no insurance for it. They are slowly becoming to get insurance for it, but that's a whole nother aspect. Again, we're going kind of further off on the thing. There is credit cards for it though, and they do based off of interest, which you can then stake coins, which is a whole nother aspect of things. I don't mean to go further.
No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah. Of course.
The rabbit hole starts to get like crazy.
So before we go there, Joseph, let me go and talk to my audience 1 second here. So guys, if you remember from season 1, we spoke with Krista Steele, and she came out with a book called Shattered Illusions. And she explained to us that there was a card named by Gemini. That is why I remember from season 1 when Joe was talking about that what type of credit cards are there, and he was not able to remember. And that's how I remembered. So whoever's listening here, please go to season 1 and listen to that episode, because that's also that's an episode about crypto. But now here's a different version of crypto, and I want from every different aspect from everybody when it comes to cryptocurrency, because I think talking less is just not enough. I think talking more is the key here, and that is why I'm keep on repeating this here. So Joe, thank you again for that. So crypto, okay, let's start here. I'm standing here and logging into my bank. Okay. Is there like another crypto bank out there? Or does TD Bank and Citibank does the same thing?
No, banks haven't even really touched on crypto.
Okay.
Because it's again, banks are regulated by the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a central bank. So crypto is decentralized, which means there's no central point. Like blockchain creates a digital ledger, so to speak. So go ahead.
So then where does it sit then? Or who owns it? Like, for example, my money is sitting at, I don't know, Chase Manhattan or whatever, right? But where does this crypto sit?
So the exchanges allow, so those exchanges, they're similar to banks, but they're not a bank.
Okay.
They allow you to have what's called the digital wallets.
Okay.
Now, you can have a cold storage, a hard storage, or hard wallet, hot wallet, they also call it. Now, I have a storage thing. It's a little USB stick, and I can put it into my computer, and that's considered my digital wallets. Now, I can move from the crypto exchange to my digital wallet using encryption keys. I have those keys. Now, there's a big saying in the crypto community: if you don't own the keys, you don't own the coin. Meaning there's specific encryption keys that go with each coin that you purchase. So like I own Bitcoin. I have keys for those Bitcoins that say that I own that. Now, I can get hacked if I leave my wallet connected to a computer or anything that has an internet connection. So I store my cryptocurrency in a safe in my house where it's off the radar, and when I need it, I can plug it in, and then I use those keys to transfer money through the exchange or peer-to-peer. I can use certain software that allows me to send my crypto coin to somebody else. So I'm storing it still. If I don't want to store it on a wallet, the exchanges have they have their own storage wallet that you can store it on, but it's connected to the internet. Crypto is not really hackable, but the exchanges still are, because they're on the internet and they're just like a website. So that's where the caution comes in.
So let's say hypothetically, if I lose a key, then I lose the money, don't I?
That's correct. So it's accountability on the person for owning the key to keep that key.
So then there's no way. So then there's no way to click saying reset key and come back to me, and then I can reset it.
Correct. There is no way of doing that.
Okay. So that's a bad thing, obviously. So that's your downside, right?
Correct.
So I guess the correct side is that there is a security. For example, people in the technology world, they're SSHing H into a server by using a token key. So is that a right approach to think about, that crypto is to connect through a token?
So this is where the debate gets and that's why, I told you, I'm neither for nor against. It's more, it's and you are exactly right. This is where we need to have a conversation, because and going to the basics of it, so people understand that it's not a perfect system, just like our current financial system isn't. But you are absolutely correct that I don't know if a token necessarily, or now they're doing the dual verification for a lot of the security stuff, which is totally, I get it, and whether that works or not. So I don't know. I don't know if because it's all based on personal opinion, whether people think because you have people who are fully independent believe it's my accountability to hold my coin. And that's where I think a lot of people get scared, is if I have $50,000 in Bitcoin and I lose that, that's on you. There is no, hey, bank, I lost it. It's not insured. But that's where it's that balance of people being it's so difficult. But I don't want to not answer the question. I just don't, without with my opinion, it's it's a scary risk.
It is definitely as I say, a black hole, because there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. It's more of a debate.
Right.
Yeah. I get that. And the reason why I question that way is because you can go both ways, and I could be right or wrong either way. And I want people to have their own opinions when it comes to these things, which is totally fine also. So thank you again for explaining that. So is crypto legal or illegal? The reason why I say that is because you came up with an episode last year sometime, talked about that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it depends. It goes based off the country. So like in the United States, crypto is not illegal to purchase or trade. You can get taxed, though. This is where people get confused by it. I have a sister who is an accountant, and she always is calling me up and asking me, like, what's this mean? What's this mean? It's like, wow. So it kind of gives me like incentive to look up, like, what is actually all this stuff? So like in America, I'm just using America as an example. I'm sure you have other people, listeners from, because I know I have on my show, there's listeners from all over all the different countries.
Yes.
But the America itself does tax on when you can buy crypto in American currency and basically like swap out whatever $5 worth of Bitcoin will get you $5 worth of Bitcoin. Now, if you keep it in Bitcoin and you don't exchange it back out, you don't have a tax on it because it's technically in cryptocurrency. And they can't regulate that. That's where the deregulation comes in. But if I transfer, let's say I want to get gains is what they call them. I don't know if there's people out here who don't understand any of that. So that's why I'm trying to make it where it's easy to understand. So gains is where like you buy Bitcoin at $5 a piece. And let's just say Bitcoin was at $5, but then all of a sudden it jumps to 20. So you trade it back in to get you get your $20 in dollar bills back. That's considered earning income. You earned money on it. So if you trade it back instead of holding it in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, you are going to get taxed on it because that's American government says, no, you earned income off that.
But isn't that the same thing as playing at stocks, and then when you get gain, then you got to pay taxes?
Yes. Okay. Yes, okay. It is the exact same thing. And that's where you brought up earlier, just a few minutes ago too, like, on my podcast, I always say, I try to leave my opinions out of this. And I want people to be better critical thinkers. And this is the way we do it, is by understanding exactly that. Like, it's still a market in a way. And that's why I call it the financial market, because that's really what it is. There's speculation. There's because when we see Elon Musk make a tweet about, some coin, and then it goes up, and then people get out of the coin once it's at its high, and then you see it drop back down. It's similar to a stock market in that aspect. So to get back onto track with it, I think a lot of people need to understand, though, the technology behind it is what, to me, is the important thing, because blockchain allows major things with like medical records, exchanging of certain types of like music. We could change the music industry with using blockchain. It eliminates the record labels from doing really bad stuff to the artists and to fans. We could eliminate a lot of things with blockchain. I think that's the underlying with cryptocurrency. Not to sidetrack, but that was.
Of course not.
Yeah,
but let me ask you this, right? Is there a difference between crypto and blockchain, or blockchain is considered as a like a system? So explain to me on that.
So blockchain is the system that allows cryptocurrency to be functioning. Without blockchain, we wouldn't be able to do it, because that's what keeps the digital ledger. That's what allows the digital ledger and people to know exactly where crypto is going. I'm going to use Bitcoin as an example with blockchain.
Sure.
So Bitcoin, when you exchange it, it automatically gets a block inserted into this digital ledger, and you can. Anybody that's visual learner like I am, just picture it like a block being put into place, and that block has little data encrypted in it that says this transaction happened between these two users, and this is the amount of Bitcoin. Now, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin mined. Once 21 million has been mined, that's all the Bitcoin, and so there's no more supply. Like, that's it.
So let me ask you another question in a dissecting way, if you don't mind. So So blockchain is more of a system, but taking care of the token to get to your cryptocurrency. Is that right?
So Blockchain is just the mean. Think of it as the vehicle to allow you to get the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It's so now that you exchanged it, that block. So again, I'm going to use Bitcoin because Bitcoin is basically how it all comes together.
Mm-hmm.
So Bitcoin is pretty much unhackable because the blockchain is connected to everybody who owns the computer that's connected to Bitcoin in terms of like trading it. They are considered a node. A node is part of a ledger where we all come to consensus every transaction that happens. So it takes, I believe, like 10 to 20 minutes for a Bitcoin transaction to put on the block and allow the consensus to happen. That's how we prevent fraud from happening with Bitcoin, is the blockchain technology. So once that happens, my token or however much I have, that system knows that I have that blockchain or that I have that Bitcoin amount or whatever. So when I bring it back on, it'll redo a different block. If I decide to trade it with you, that's a different block altogether, but it still tallies up how much. So it can never fraudulently produce a false Bitcoin.
But Joe, let me ask you this. In the beginning of the episode, when I said that the internet is 2.0 and this crypto is 3.0, which is the new web 3.0, is this how we're dealing with security when it comes to the internet? Because you were saying earlier that the internet is kind of not safe, right, when it comes to the exchange. Remember that example you gave?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think that when the internet becomes 3.0, you think that whole area will be safe when it comes to security?
I think.
Or am I just jumping the gun on that?
Well, no, you're not jumping the gun. So this is where, again, it comes down to certain people have opinions of other,
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily like a networker in a way. I know you do a lot with that,
Yes.
like that stuff too, which is awesome. The way it looks like they are, because there's a lot of companies now using blockchain for security purposes, and it's working really well.
That's right.
And I think this next decade is going to be telling for us where, and as youth start to take over, I think that even more advancement with this technology is going to make even more security. I think the part that scares people is the accountability, where like when we just were talking about like owning your own keys for like your coins and stuff. I think that's where people get afraid with blockchain, where it's like, well, what if I don't remember where I did with my keys? And so it's going to be a delay for people to catch on to it because it's going to take accountability on people to take over. But that security, I could see it becoming mainstream when things start to evolve, especially with like records transfers with smart contracts. That's all blockchain technology. So I'm thinking, the security for it it's coming, whether people are ready for it or not. And that's why I started this podcast, was to kind of give people a heads up, like, you don't have to agree with it, you don't have to like it, but you have to accept that this is becoming a major player in the world.
Yeah, so let me talk to my audience 1 second here. So there's a reason why I brought Joe into this call. His podcast name is The Crypto 101 Show. And now how fascinating is that we all need to understand crypto in a really, really basic way, which is the 101 way. And that's where he created that. And I think he's the right person for me to understand, not even others, even just me, to ask the right questions. And guys, please comment my episode. If you think anything that I have missed, I will bring Joe back here. And if Joe's okay with it, I'll bring him here again. But we want to understand that you are fully educated when it comes to crypto and ready at the same time. Because we might even talk about tokens maybe later on. We might even talk about blockchains also. We might even talk about music aspects of it, as how that has changed the whole industry too at the same time. So Joe, thank you again for being here too. So before you leave, besides your book, is there any other book do you recommend for crypto? And explain about your book too, if you don't mind.
I don't have a book or anything. I just have the podcast for it. The podcast is just strictly my own education. there are some amazing crypto heads out there that, or even sometimes it's not even crypto, it's financial people that like just following on Twitter and stuff. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. My one best friend has all these people that he follows. I think it's just really digging and researching into the crypto realm, just finding people that you can trust with it. That's kind of what I found helped me out the most. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who I can't, and I don't have it right now. There's just so many financial people that know what they're talking about when it comes to all this stuff. And for me, it's just, can you digest and break it down further for yourself to understand your own opinion on it, but also critically thinking about it. But I don't have a book, so I'm sorry. I didn't even.
No worries. So thank you again, Joe, for explaining that. And obviously, I will talk to him offline, and we'll get a book from him. How about that? And we'll put that on the show notes on the episode there. But Joe, before you leave today, do you have any last words of how the journey was for Back to Basics for you, and any last words for all my listeners and my viewers today?
Yeah. The last words I'll leave is just don't get overwhelmed. Like that's the point of starting at the basics, whether it's music or anything you're trying to learn, even crypto. And it's very like, I try to take small, like, because we learn on sound bites, a lot of us now. So it's condensing a lot of information to funnel down into simplified terms is very difficult. But if don't get overwhelmed, like that's the point of basics, is to just start at the foundation, learn the basics of it, and then start to evolve, and you'll find branches of things that you'll find, and then you can go down different paths. So just start from the beginning. Don't try to overpass it at all. That's my biggest recommendation.
Yeah, thank you again. And how was your journey on Back to Basics? Do you have any last words of that?
I love it. I enjoy going back to basics, learning about music stuff, like playing music, or whether it's crypto, or I'm always a fan of I am not the smartest person in the room. So therefore I know nothing. So I want to learn as much as possible. So my Back to Basics is always just, what can I learn today or the next day or whatever it is, and just keep learning about it. And my journey is just to just keep growing. Like that's the point of life for me, is like to learn anything I possibly can about it. So
yeah, thank you again, Joe, for being here and supporting me on my small podcast. And all power to you of whatever you're doing, because you know what, you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to crypto, and never tell anyone less than that. So please keep on doing what you're doing, and please support me also at the same time.
Yes.
So Joe, thank you again for coming here, and hopefully we'll talk more for other topics on Back to Basics here.
Thanks, Girish. I really appreciate it. You too.
Thank you. So guys, we spoke with Joseph today, and we talked about the basics of crypto, and we talked about that crypto is one thing that we are definitely not educated enough. Yes, we know little bits, a little nuggets, but how about if we get a buffet? And that's what we're trying to do, is to try to get as much buffet information from a lot of different people, a lot of different aspects. Yes, I did mention that I spoke with Krista Steele from season 1. Now today we're speaking with Joseph, and believe me, the less topics, or do we need more? I think more is the best way, right? So guys, as usual, as always, I have a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully Joseph will like that. The quote is, I think that the future of currency is digital, and Bitcoin has good shot at being the currency of the future. Now guys, that's what I say, that's what Joseph says, and that's what a lot of different people say. But some people might disagree, but that's okay, because we're not here to rule the world. We're just right here to give people knowledge and awareness of what's going on in the world. So guys, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? I'm pretty sure Joseph knows that. Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care. God bless. Keep on commenting as much as you can. Good, bad, ugly, either way, it'll make my show stronger. day by day and week by week. And there are three things that every episode, including this one, makes it successful, which is the topic, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care, God bless, and I'll see you next week. Next week's episode on Back to Basics. Other side of the world, let's say Japan or India or whatever. I mean, I'm just making up countries, right? But who pays the taxes? What happens there? Because there's some of the countries are not allowing this whole thing, right? So it's going to take a while till the whole world is on the same page. So what are your thoughts on that part?
So it's like this. It doesn't really matter whether those countries allow transactions. They can't stop transactions. So for instance, what I said earlier, it's a decentralized money. It's a decentralized